Start healing your anxiety and depression fast. Today, we're talking about the 4 areas of anxiety and depression that you need to focus on in order to heal your anxiety and depression for good. Hey there, it's Carrie Bailey, your functional nutritionist here. I work with people with anxiety, depression, and other weird mystery symptoms and help them heal. I want to welcome you to this growing community of people who are ready to bust through their anxiety and depression. And if it's your first time watching, make a comment below, say hi. I'd love to meet you. So let's jump into today's video that we want to focus on for your mental health. Food, supplements, exercise, and calming the nervous system. Food, first of all, you want to make sure to take out the most inflammatory foods out. If you're eating any foods with a package, read the labels. Look for things like food coloring, additives, preservatives. You don't want any of those. If you buy a packaged food, you want the most minimal ingredients and you want real things that you recognize, nothing you don't recognize. If there's gluten, dairy, eggs, you want to get those out too. Healing foods. So my favorite healing foods are whole foods. Healing foods are foods you're going to find in the produce section on the outside perimeter of the grocery store. These are fruits. There's so many antioxidants in your fruits. These are things like wild blueberries, which are super nutrient dense and have polyphenols and resveratrol, and they're grown wildly in Maine and Eastern Canada. Definitely get yourself some of those in the freezer section. In the produce section, you're going to look for bananas and apples and berries and just anything in season that makes you look, yeah, yum. That sounds delicious. Another important food group sometimes that gets missed that we want to bring in for healing is starchy vegetables. These are your winter squash, potatoes, sweet potatoes, things like this. This is going to give your body the glucose that it needs. If you're one of those people that's craving a lot of sugar, you might find that you're not getting enough glucose in your diet, right? These days, it's so common to have the keto diet and the paleo diet, and those are all great, but sometimes those tend to be more high in fat, or people tend to be high in fat when they're on those diets. And they also tend to be less fruits and vegetables. Sometimes people are heavy on fruits and vegetables, but sometimes they're not because they think that there might be too much sugar in a banana or something like that. So eat all the fruits and veggies that you like. And the squashes, like your winter squash and your beans. Beans are great. Now, beans are not going to find on paleo or keto or low carb, probably. But beans really are a great source of glucose for the body. Let's see. Herbs. Make sure that you bring in lots of herbs. Herbs are things like garlic and onions and parsley and cilantro and oregano and thyme. These are your natural healing herbs. These are the things that are going to flavor your food, but also have healing modalities. And so imagine if you put these on your foods every single day, they're really going to help you heal. The other thing about healing foods, you want to make sure that you are bringing in foods that are primarily organic. I mean, there is some things that you can eat that aren't organic, but for the most part, I would say bring in organic, because glyphosate really is, it's the pesticide that they put on fruits and vegetables that gets in our body and really can wreak havoc. So the less pesticides you have on your food, the less pesticides you have on your body. And generally what I find is that the more you eat out, the less likely you are to find organic food. I find it really hard to find restaurants with organic foods, fruits and vegetables and things like that. And so it's always better to eat stuff on your own that you make at home. And there's always a dirty knife and cutting board in my kitchen. I will tell you that for sure. Let's talk about supplements. Supplements, number 2 thing that you want to make sure that is in your diet if you're struggling with anxiety and depression. And my favorites are the B vitamins. So let's talk a little bit about the B vitamins first. B vitamins are going to help your nervous system. They're calming. They're water soluble, so you need them every single day. And we just are so bombarded with stress, mental, emotional stress, and traffic. And, post-pandemic, I feel like the pandemic really drained everybody's B vitamins for sure. So you want to bring in the B vitamins. Now, there's some specifics on the B vitamins, and B vitamins can be tricky. I see a lot of clients who say, oh my God, I put in a B complex and I had a horrible reaction. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'll talk about that more in a future video. But here, I just want to say the importance of the B vitamins and the things you want to work out for. So the B12, super important. Everybody needs B12 and a lot of B12. Now, this is really critical for your nervous system and for your ability to sleep and to reduce anxiety and to improve depression. You know, my case is a perfect example. I struggled for years with depression, and I worked on my diet and worked on a lot of other things, but it really wasn't until I brought in a boatload of B12 that things got better. Now, there's specific forms and methods that I want to talk about for B12. So you want to make sure that you get a sublingual form of B12 that can be dissolved under your tongue, so it's absorbed into your bloodstream before it goes through your digestive system, because, well, it's a really long story, but B12 is a really complicated molecule to get into your body. It requires a lot from the physiology to get it in. The other vitamins to bring in are all the Bs, the B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6. And it's hard to find a multi-B vitamin. Make sure you want to bring in the B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6. Now, there's a product that I really like called B-, and this brings in all of them without methylfolate. So what I tend to see people react to is methylfolate or methyl B12. And so going back to B12, make sure that not only do you get a sublingual form, make sure you get a hydroxycobalamin, which is a precursor to methyl and adenosole. Now, these two different B vitamins, methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin, play key roles. One sort of supports, the adenosole supports your mitochondrial and your energy production, whereas the methyl form of cobalamin supports your methylation. Now, you might need to methylate and you might need B12, but methylcobalamin might be a little too much for you. So I like to start with hydroxy B12 and let your body figure out what it needs and where it needs to go. It's always the safer route. Folate is the other thing. Now, you want to make sure, again, this is going to be quick and dirty. I'll do a future video on more on folate because that's a big question for people. You want to avoid folic acid. So anything that says folic acid, generally assume that it's synthetic. You don't want that in your supplement or your food, any additives in food. And make sure that it's folate, and if it is a methylfolate, you might react to it. So I like to take that one separately if you think you need it. So for now, if you can find a B- by seeking help, then you can avoid the methyls for now, just in case you are sensitive and react to them. But you do need folate, and you can get folate in your body. And there's a way to get folate in your body without supplementing. There are ways to get it from your food. And I love to bring in lentils, chickpeas, and leafy greens, all your leafy greens, whether that's the cruciferous leafy greens or your spinach, your romaine, your arugula, no iceberg lettuce, but all of your bok choy and your leafy lettuce greens and your butter lettuce, all your lettuces are going to have folate. All right, next we're going to talk about magnesium. There are a couple forms of magnesium that I like, but my favorite is magnesium glycinate. And magnesium, well, first of all, most people are deficient in it. And you want a form that is going to calm you and relax. If you have constipation, that's a whole separate issue. We're not going to talk about that one today. We will in a future video. I like magnesium glycinate. It's very calming. It helps calm the nervous system. It helps with sleep. It helps with all of your calming neurotransmitters like making GABA and things like that. So magnesium would be a great bring in for sure. And you can go pretty hard on that one. Don't go crazy, but I would say you could easily take, 250 milligrams twice a day. And that might be a nice starting dose for you. Zinc is important for so many things, and it's a nutrient that a lot of people are deficient in. So this might be for your immune system needs zinc, your brain needs zinc, and detoxification needs zinc. So your methylation needs zinc. So zinc is a very, very important nutrient. And again, mostly deficient for people. Zinc sulfate, that's my favorite form. Other forms I like are zinc picolinate. That would work well. But you want to get zinc in your body for sure. And that one's harder to get from your foods. And especially if you have low stomach acid, you might not be able to be breaking down the zinc, because zinc comes mainly from animal products, from your animal proteins. So that's how you get zinc in your body. All right. The third important area for you to focus on for your mental health is going to be exercise. Exercise is the number one thing you can bring in. If you're not exercising already, bring it in well, not go crazy. You don't need to run a marathon, but you want to bring exercise in order to help your mental health. I mean, there have been studies, again, I'm not going to reference this because I'm not a study chaser. But if you are interested, there are studies out there that talk about how exercise is as effective as antidepressants. So definitely want to bring that in. Now, the more you can exercise outside in nature, those are just bonuses on the exercise. But just moving your body, breaking a sweat, getting your breathing and your heart rate up, those are all going to help you feel better and help your body to work better. This is really going to support your body. Exercise also improves circulation. You want that lymphatic tissue moving throughout your body. That's how you find cancers and get rid of cancers. That's how you find toxins and get rid of toxins. Your circulatory system doesn't have a pump. And so it requires you moving your body. I mean, we came with all these beautiful legs, and this body is meant to move. So move your body in order to help your mental health. Another area that's important to focus on for your mental health is calming your nervous system. And sometimes people are so keyed up that they need to calm their nervous system first before we can even do anything. They're so reactive, whether it's to foods or anything else, that we have to calm that nervous system. So you want to make sure, first of all, that you take out you want to take out anything that is overstimulating, anything you're consuming, as well as anything externally. So as one example, I have a client who came to me and she was drinking 11 cups of tea a day. And so the very first thing we did was try to get that down, because guess what she was struggling with? Sleep and anxiety. So if you're struggling with sleep or anxiety, you've got to get the caffeine out. 100% take it out. It has to be a non-negotiable if you want to heal, period. Other things that are overstimulating is overexercise. Sometimes people are using exercise to get that dopamine rush, to get that high. But in essence, you're actually hurting your nervous system, because you're pushing your adrenals and you're pushing that adrenaline around your body. And your liver all that adrenaline you're making, your liver has to make the adrenaline and get rid of the adrenaline. And so if it can't do that, then you're going to have this constant adrenaline in your body and burdening your liver and in your whole body as well. If you're a person who works a 9-to-5 type job or a 9-to-9 type job, hopefully not, but sometimes there are people. I'm in the Silicon Valley here, and we have a lot of people that work a lot of hours. And if you have too much on your plate, work-wise, life-wise, then you need to slow down and back up. You cannot heal in that environment. So it's really important to calm down your nervous system and take some things off your plate. Some other things that you can do really easy to bring in, I like to bring in Epsom salt bath. And the reason I like Epsom salt baths is because they are magnesium, and it's a magnesium sulfate. Remember, we were talking about zinc sulfate earlier. Well, magnesium sulfate, you definitely don't want to eat that, because that's going to cause some really loose stool, diarrhea, likely clean you out. But you want that zinc sulfate in your body to absorb through your skin. That's the best way to get it in, and it gets it into your body in a way that is very healing. And taking a hot Epsom salt bath before bed is very relaxing. It gets you calmed down, gets you ready for bed. But anytime that you want a Epsom salt bath, if that's what you need, bring it in. Some other things you can do is meditation or grounding. And I like to do both. Actually, I like to do like 4 things at once. Anytime I can do 4 things at once, it's just more efficient. So my favorite meditation and grounding method is, I call it my sun meditation. And I'm in California, so I can do this most of the year. So you get in your bikini or expose as much skin as possible. And you want to do this as close to the solar noon as possible. So like around noon, I go outside, lay down a towel on the ground, put on my bikini, or at least expose as much skin as I can, and I lay on each side. Now, this isn't long. We're not looking for a suntan or burning or anything like that. And we want you to go without sunscreen. It's a great way to get your vitamin D as well. And so you're going to lie there, and like the old days in the 80s when we were suntanning, is this kind of what you're doing, but you're only doing it 10 minutes aside, maybe less. I mean, if you're really sensitive and you get pink really quickly, you want to reduce that. I've had clients say that I can only stay out for 4 minutes before they notice their skin turn pink. So you just look at your skin when it just turns pink. Now I've been doing this long enough. I can stay out for 20 minutes on each side but whatever you need to do. Sometimes I just don't have time. So 10 minutes on each side. And being on the ground, in touch with all of your body on the ground for 10 minutes, it's just resets me. It's my favorite thing to do at lunch or before or after lunch, is to do this. And it just really resets me. So at the same time, I'm meditating because I'm really not doing anything but that sort of doing nothing, grounding, getting sun. I'm out in nature because I've got the blanket or towel out on my lawn, or lawnless lawn here in California. So that's my recommendation for meditation and grounding. And then the last recommendation I want to make related to calming your nervous system is tapping. So if you're familiar with tapping, there are certain points on your body that you can actually tap, and you want to say something to the effect of, even though I'm feeling really stressed, I completely love and accept myself. And you want to do something, then you tap on this karate chops point. And then there's different points in your body that you're going to just tap on. Just think of it sort of like acupuncture, acupressure. These are just pressure points that are going to just calm you. If you're getting upset about something, you can just tap. There's ways you can tap all over your body. So there's sequences. I'll put a connection in the description that explains some resources that I like for tapping. And then if you guys want to try that, that's another way of really, especially if you're getting emotionally upset, upset about something that you can't focus on your work or things like that. That's a great tool for people who get really, really anxious and just out of control anxious. That would be a really good step. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are from today. I'd love to hear what you're doing right now to help your anxiety and depression. Add a comment below and let me know. And if you want a little extra support, I've got a anxiety and depression recovery guide. There's going to be a link in the description below, and you can get my recipes, tips, tricks, be on my mailing list, and help you start on this journey for anxiety and depression recovery. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.